Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Woman Oracle and Tarot, and today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. So if you haven't looked it up, highly sensitive person is a term that is used to describe people who are shockingly, highly sensitive, but this could also be used to describe someone who might consider themselves emotional or intuitive, empathic, psychic, some of those words that we might use in the more conscious or spiritual communities. Either way, whichever way you look at it, if you're a highly sensitive person, this video is for you. And I encourage you to like and subscribe if you find that you like this reading. You can also press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up. And if you want to get to know more about me and my work, you can check out my details below or erritygreen.com, where I do offer both personal readings for life and for business and a number of other things. You can check out all those details there. And then I also have a special announcement just before I throw up your card choices. I have a brand new channel. I will link it in the description below. It is called Psychic True Crime. So if you are someone who also enjoys diving into known and unknown criminals and killers, meaning they have yet to be identified, or high profile cases, and you want to know more and dive into that intuitively or psychically, that's what we are doing on that channel. I will link it below. Again, it is Psychic True Crime, and you can subscribe there as well. So without further delay, I will place a picture up of your 4 card piles to choose from today. You are choosing from left to right. All right, card pile 1, we're talking about the gifts and challenges, your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. So I feel like you're someone who's so deep. You're so deep. You might consider yourself like a hopeless romantic. You feel all the feels. Man, you feel it. You get into it. You might be like Scorpio or Pisces, or what are all the water signs? Cancer. Not 100% on my zodiac, but I'm relatively familiar. And I'm primarily familiar with the ones that come into my world and my reality, my life. This reading isn't about me though, so we're going to get back to it. You guys are just such deep feelers, maybe even deep thinkers, contemplatives, contemplators. I can't think of, like, I know the word, but it's hard for me to actually pronounce it and get it out of my mouth. But you're someone who just feels it deeply. You're a deep soul. You're a deep person. You know, I feel like you have deep roots. Like, I don't think you take anything at face value. You're going to be the person who's going to dive deep. You're going to feel it deeply. You're someone who's really going to feel a story or the emotion or a movie. Like, you're the person who's going to dive deep. You're going to feel it all. You're the person who's going to feel all the feels. You might be someone who sometimes can be known to cry at a commercial or something simple, or well up with tears at a happy moment. You know, you're someone who just feels all the feels. You feel it well and you feel it deeply. And you know what? I don't think you feel too apologetic about it. Like, this is just a part of who you are. It's a beautiful part of who you are. I see this as a gift. The gift is that you feel so well and so deeply. You are a deep, deep, deep soul. And what a beautiful, beautiful experience that is. Might even be like a hopeless romantic, someone who falls in love easy, someone who is head over heels, even over a project. You know, it's like you're the yes person, of course. Like, you just feel so deeply. You're all in, you're all invested, no qualms about it. Such a beautiful, devotional, romantic, loving, deep feeling, deep thinking being. You know, you might be someone who considers yourself a poet or a philosopher or an artist. I feel like you feel music deeply. You know, music isn't just something that's on the radio. You know, it's medicine, it's a language, it's something you recognize, it's something you share. You know, you share it with other people. It's something that you really deeply feel. It's a tool for you, an instrument. You are an attuned instrument. Again, you allow yourself to sort of hit all the notes of this beautiful human emotional spectrum. You allow all these parts of yourself to sort of have expression or to be felt. Like, you allow yourself to emote. Now, as I'm saying this though, I will say that there might be some of you who have felt like or felt inclined to turn this off, to shut this off at times. Now, this feels like a small minority of you, maybe 30% of you, 20% of you, where you are this deep feeler and you know you're this deep feeler, but you've had to maybe, or you feel like you've had to shut this off over time, or silence it or mute it or censor it in some way, because it's so difficult to be an open heart person in the world that we live in today. So you might be someone who, again, feels all the feels, you know, this hopeless romantic, this poet, and yet to walk out in the world with a bleeding heart, just like wide open, gaping, on a silver platter to the world. That's a very vulnerable, sensitive place to be. So you might be someone who at times has shut this part off, or not allowed this part of yourself, or shelved it, or otherwise didn't put it on display or wear your heart on your sleeve. So some of you might have found a way to work around the sensitivities to sort of survive or live in the world. You are being encouraged to explore that, if that's something that you have done, and really determine if that's what you want to do. Is that truly your conscious intention? Because I feel like for some of you, this is actually your gift. So to mute it, to silence it, would be to be muting or silencing your gift, your genius, your talent, your skill set. I feel like this is also the portal to your psychic abilities or your spiritual gifts as well, to be able to dive deeper into your empathic ability. And again, by shelving it or turning it off, you are shutting off a part of yourself, your authentic expression, your whole and full expression. So again, that's not for all of you, but for some of you, I do feel that almost like belief that in order for me to survive in this world, I can't feel that deeply, or I need to silence this or stop it. So you might be more inclined to repress it, hold back, shut it down or shut it off or silence it or quiet it or whatever. But you are being encouraged, if you feel safe and after you explore whether or not this is something that is important for you, to really embody that full expression of yourself and allow yourself to be that deep feeler, deep thinker that you are. So that's the first message here that's coming through along with your gift. The other one, because we have another card here, is on, I feel like you might be someone who is such a deep feeler and so beautifully sort of adept and connected to your feminine energy, right? A lot of this is like the moon energy and the feeling and feminine energy that you might not have always had the ability, to follow through, to bring things to completion, to plan well or properly, to actually build and construct and complete something, to see something through from beginning to end, to bring a manifestation or a project through from beginning to end. Because you're so in the feels, you might end up prioritizing and valuing your emotional world, your emotional realm, even your relationships, your connections, your family, friends, and community, but to the detriment of what it is that you want to bring forward. Your bigger dreams, your bigger visions, your greater destiny, what it is that you ultimately see for yourself, that you really do have this dream or vision to bring something forward, to make your life not necessarily worth it, because it's worth it anyway, but you really do feel like there's a legacy here, there's something purposeful that you'd like to bring forward. You want to feel purposeful, you want to feel on purpose. And it seems like this emotional fluency that you have, but especially your inclination to live more in your emotional realm and to focus and prioritize more on that it might have held you back from being able to create or do as much as you've wanted to create or do or accomplish. So there's just that message there. There's not like, oh, you should be doing that, or this is what you should be doing instead. There's this awareness of, hey, that might be why you're not accomplishing what you say you want to accomplish, or why it might be a challenge for you to see this through, because you tend to value or live in or occupy more of your emotional realm than, say, your mental or physical, which is also required for manifestation. And of course, these are parts of you as well, and parts of your full, authentic, and whole expression. So you might consider embodying, occupying, and or actualizing these other parts of you as well, so you can really bring something to life, construct or build or create something, whether it be a life or a project or work of art, purpose path, purpose work, or something that is sort of all the flavors of you, both emotional as well as the mental and physical and spiritual and all of it. Obviously that is something that's important to you, but if you've ever wondered why you haven't brought something to fruition, it's because you tend to side with your emotional realm. But this is available for you too. Bringing forth something that you want to build or create or manifest is very much possible for you as a highly sensitive person. You might do it differently. You might do it in a more sustainable, connected, rhythmic way that's connected to, say, nature or the natural seasons, or your own bodily seasons and rhythms, your own daily rhythms and flow, as opposed to like rushing, hustling, forcing, grinding. And yet you can still do this. This is something that's important to you and to your fullest expression as well. So that's the first couple things that are coming through in terms of your deep feeling nature, your emotional nature, how you tend to occupy this so beautifully, even a hopeless romantic. You might even love traveling as well. That's a side note. but that you also desire to really hold and build a vision for yourself. That is possible, but it is going to require you to not default as frequently, consistently, consecutively into the emotional realm, when sometimes you might have to sort of pick up your pants and get moving too, right? Entering the mental realm, the physical realm, in order to bring whatever manifestations to full completion. So let's see what else is here. So your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. So it's interesting because I feel like things have been easy for you. And it's interesting because I feel like some of you are going to be like, like right off the bat, as soon as I say something like that, a blanket statement. But I feel like in generally, good luck is on your side. And I'm going to share this because you have Ganesha, which removes all obstacles, as well as luck is on your side. You have these right next door to each other. So clearly you're someone who you might consider yourself highly fortunate and or of good fortune or good outcome. Like luck tends to be on your side. Things tend to be easy for you. Now, I think what this could also speak to is you might be someone, again, who defaults into receiving and allowing life to bring to you and allowing life to do for you, letting the work do you, as opposed to you going out there like a warrior and I'm going to do this and I'm going to accomplish that and I'm going to make this happen. You might not be that kind of person. You might not even have that kind of energy. You might not even care to embody that kind of person. You might be someone who sort of leans back and lets life do for you. You know, maybe more of your manifestation process. And maybe this is a part of just getting to know yourself too, that there's a gift here. And being someone who is emotional, intuitive, empathic, spiritual, highly sensitive, you have the ability, even we could say being in that feminine space, whether you identify as a man or a woman, does not at all matter here. Because again, we even talked about Cancer energy, men and women, biological men and women can both be Cancers and Pisces and so on and so forth. So it doesn't mean anything here. But I feel like you're someone who can lean back and let life happen. You're someone who can lean back and allow life to bring to you what it's meant to bring to you. Meaning you might be someone who sort of allows destiny to steer your ship or captain your ship. Like you're not going to force anything, try too hard, will something to happen, make it happen. You're going to be someone who's open to receiving and you allow that receiving to happen. I feel like as a result though too, you are available for receiving. So to contrast, a lot of people who are more in their mental body or their even their physical body, not always, but you know, the people who are more of that masculine energy, that warrior energy, that mental energy, they're out there like gonna go do the thing and make shit happen and manifest the thing and all that stuff, such that they can get such in a habit or a routine or a rut of going and doing and striving and achieving that they can't even sit back, relax, and actually receive, right? Because they're so busy doing. And I feel like that's not the issue for you. In fact, you do really well at just sitting back, relaxing, and receiving, and things by nature come to you. And it's interesting because I've had a friend like this in my life, and because it's coming to me, I'm going to share it with you. They were the person who, they really didn't try, we could use that term, like they really didn't try for anything much at all. Are they someone who is an average human who has to go to work and pay the bills? Of course. However, they barely lifted a finger for a GD thing in all the years that I've known this person. They've never really seen something through all the way to completion. They hardly ever planned. They never put any really forethought into anything. It's all very much been present moment, in the flow, letting life be, so on and so forth. Again, just a very leaned back version of experiencing this life. And the irony of it all is someone who, I feel like for me, I was always that go-getter as a young person. I've since matured and I feel like I've integrated both, but still by nature, aka conditioning, how I was raised was being much more of that masculine mode of going, doing, going out there and achieving what it is that you want. So I'd watch this person. I'm like, how are they being gifted like Xboxes or promotions out of nowhere, and or they're never in trouble? Like they do all these crazy things and they never get in trouble, but everyone else around them gets in trouble. So it's always like they were gifted something, given a break on another thing. Everything was just so easy, and it's like this red carpet was unfolded out in front of them all the time that was sort of just handing them whatever good fortune that they might have wanted, maybe even didn't want or think about, but they were handed it. I'm like, what? How does this happen? Like, this person doesn't do anything. Like this person is a man, a biological man, and he girls would just come to him, fall into his lap. Even men would approach him, and it was just hilarious because it all just seemed like it came so easy to him, and yet he did nothing. Like, he just sat and chilled and life came to him. So your gift as a highly sensitive person seems like, again, you are very much in your receiving nature. You're able to receive, and you're able to allow life to give to you. I feel like, I wonder if there is, I feel like for some of you though, you need to be reminded of this, because as I'm sharing it, I'm almost wondering, you know, my curiosity then is, well, what's the challenge, you know? And especially because we got in that first card that you are concerned with bringing something to life, or bringing a project forward, or creating some kind of purposeful legacy or something like that. I feel like that's what you're seeking, and you're wondering maybe how. And even though you're here to find out about your gifts and challenges, that we end up talking more about your purpose and what it is you want to create or achieve, I feel like, again, we're getting that energy of, you very much can bring forward whatever you want, but it might be done differently than how you see everybody else doing it. You know, your way might be different, and perhaps it's something you eventually teach or model or demonstrate for people, you know, doing it your way. But first and foremost, primarily, the message that is meant to be given / received here is that you might do this differently, you know, whether or not it has anything to do with anybody else. Right? It's remembering that your special ability is your sensitivity, is your empathic nature, is your emotionality. And thus, the gift here is that you get to receive, and maybe don't have to go out and do it the way that everybody else does. You know, so you don't have to get yourself into a space of comparison, or they do it this way, or I'm supposed to be doing it this other way, and why am I not doing it this way? Do you see what I'm saying? So you don't have to judge yourself or compare yourself or any of that. You know, you are good just as you are, more or less. Like, this is who you are. This is how you're supposed to do it. This is how life is supposed to happen for you. Okay, so let's see what else here. Okay, I say that, but then it goes on to say, so it's so interesting, because I actually had recorded an entirely different reading, and then I lost it somewhere along the lines of bringing it to my computer and editing it and uploading it, and my heart was broken. And I'm still grieving it, because there were some really phenomenal readings on there. Some that were even very important and close to my own heart. And there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I have to let it go. It's gone. But this reading is a little bit different. And I don't know why I'm sharing that with you. I'm just letting you know. But it's interesting, because it's like you are seeking something, though. You know, you came here, I feel like, seeking something. And or it's in your consciousness. Like, you are seeking greater fulfillment. And it does have to do with purpose, or bringing something forward, or manifesting something. Like, so far, the way it's gone hasn't been quote unquote enough. And it doesn't mean that it hasn't been good enough. It just means that you want to actualize more, right? That's what we're here for. And so you're being told it's time to take action. Ironically, bring in some of that warrior energy, that masculine energy, the go-getter energy, the do, strive, achieve, make the move, do the thing energy, being forward, being assertive, putting a step forward, or putting your foot forward. Because, and I think what these first few cards are mentioning is like, yes, you are very emotional, poetic, artistic, creative. What a beautiful thing. You know, fortune is on your side. You tend to receive so much, and you tend to receive things so easily, and you can do it your way. And if you want to achieve what you're saying you want to achieve, if you want to create what it is you want to create, you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. And so the challenge then for you, while you have these really beautiful, emotional, empathic, well-connected spiritual gifts, in order to bring forward what it is that you want to accomplish, it's going to require more of that Mars action-taking energy. That's what's going to bring you that greater fulfillment that you seek. You seek greater fulfillment. You might even be wondering what that is. You might have come on here not even knowing you wanted to bring something forward, and now you're like, oh, that is what it is. Like, it hasn't been enough for me just to like feel. I also want to do, create, achieve, accomplish, build, be known for something, feel on purpose, feel purposeful. So there is a whole masculine side that you might be actualizing and developing right now as a highly sensitive person, and that has been your challenge. Maybe the gift for you has been very much in that feminine, feeling, emoting, connected, spiritual, intuitive energy, and you're very much wanting to express yourself and actualize that more masculine part of you that builds, creates, achieves, and accomplishes. Oh, this is so cool. So the final message here is that this is your evolution. It's a part of your soul's path, a part of your soul's mission, a part of your soul's evolution, that you actualize this part of yourself, and that you more or less create this inner union or inner marriage or expression of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Sometimes these constructs and labels and terms can be overused, especially in the spiritual and woke communities. You know, of course, these are just tools and terms for us to use to get to know ourselves better and to get to know each other better and understand each other better. You know, these divine feminine and masculine energy don't exist in nature unless we're just speaking to maybe the hormones, and the energy that comes from those hormones. Who knows? However, there is a part of you that yearns to express and actualize, right? And whatever that hasn't been for you, it feels like it's more around that masculine energy. You've got the feminine energy down pat. That's your gift as a highly sensitive person. Now you're wanting to express and actualize the other part of you, and you're being assured an outcome, a positive outcome, success, a win-win outcome is forecast. And what's beautiful here about this win-win outcome is it's not only telling us that whatever it is that you want to achieve is inevitable if you put your foot forward and you do the thing, and you start learning this masculine side of yourself, of planning, of doing, of executing, of implementing, of doing so consistently, of showing up time and again, but that you create harmony and balance and ultimately fulfillment because you've brought forth both parts of yourself. So you not only create this success through this manifestation or whatever it is you seek in terms of purpose, this path, this project, but you also create this inner union of wholeness and balance and equality within yourself of both divine masculine and divine feminine, where you are like a fully whole actualized being. So what a beautiful reading, card pile 1. If this resonated for you, I encourage you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. Do check out my new channel. It is linked below, Psychic True Crime. And if you want to get to know more about me and my work, you can check out my details below or at erritygreen.com, where I offer both personal readings in life and in business. And I look forward to seeing you next time, card pile 1. Thank you. Okay, card pile 2. Your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. Okay, so I feel like you recognize yourself as a deep feeler, and I feel like you feel like this has been a burden for you at different times. That this might have been like a heavy load or a weight that you've had to carry or bear, and it feels like it's not a weight that you feel like you signed up for. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sensitive, or I'm a feeler, or I'm empathic, but I don't want to carry the weight of the world or these people's burdens or all of this shit. Like, it's not mine, or I don't want it to be mine, or I don't want to carry it or process it. This isn't my shit, like stuff like that. But there is a message here, first of all, that there is a hidden gift here. I do feel that energy of sort of what you call, we'll put in quotes, victimhood energy. And what I mean by that, of course, in 3D, we're very much victimized. That's a reality on planet Earth. It's a part of the human condition. I don't love it. I don't think any ego out there loves it. It's just the way that it is on this planet and in this dimension. It is what we chose if you subscribe to that in terms of your soul or your higher self. All of that said, sometimes we can sort of pack up and live in that experience of being victimized, and then we live in this space of victimhood, aka powerlessness, where we sort of give up. We resign, never mind, it doesn't matter anyway, nothing I do works out, everything is shit, at least for me. It's going to fail anyway, it's going to fall apart, the other shoe will drop, on and on and on. And so you might have had a number of experiences over the course of your life that would prove this to be true. Otherwise, why would you be carrying it? So one way or another, you've had your fair share of trouble or experience or whatever that led you to sort of carrying this burden or this weight and believing like, I know I'm a deep feeler, but I don't feel like I signed up for this, and this is like hard. This is hard work. Living on Earth is hard effing work. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting here. So I feel like this is your challenge. You know, we're going to find out more about how this has been a gift for you as well as we move through. Because it even says a hidden gift, which to me always means that when we open with that kind of energy, that you're meant to eventually / ultimately transform this, right? You're not meant to be in this space forever. Maybe this was the space you were in the past. Maybe you're not even there anymore. But I feel like if you chose card pile 2, you're probably there in one form, fashion, or another, where you feel like, maybe you feel like giving up, or you feel like, fuck it, or you feel like, man, you know, life just continues to take a shit on me, or why does life have to be so hard? Why does it never work out for me? That kind of energy. And I feel like a part of what wants to come through with this message is remembering that the root of that is likely that you are very sensitive, right? So as opposed to life being particularly hard on you or harder on you or more difficult, you might just be a more sensitive being who really feels that stuff so deeply. You know, you live with an open heart. You let it all break your heart, you know, you're willing to go out there and, you know, when it's like you take losses hard, or, you know, while most people might experience a heartbreak or a failure or a loss or whatever, maybe they feel it up to if we say 1 out of 10 scale, they feel it at a 4 or a 7. You might feel it at a 10, 11, or a 12, right? And so you're just feeling more deeply. So it's less of an issue of things happening worse for you and more of you being someone who feels well and feels deeply. And what this is number one, an opportunity to recognize this as a gift. And of course, you then have to use it that way as opposed to making it be your challenge or your reason for victimhood or whatever. And there's no judgment around victimhood because, again, we're all villains, we're all victims. We've all been both villainhood and victimhood. Like, these are all the flavors of the human experience. Sometimes we find ourselves a victim, sometimes we find ourselves a villain. And all, what we're learning anyway on this whole path is to allow space for it all, allow room for it all. Like bring the awareness to all of this so we can make conscious, intentional choices and decide who we want to be, how we want to show up, the choices we want to make. And is it going to be from this awareness of villain or awareness of victim, or maybe neither of those, something else that's truer and more authentic. So no judgment at all. But what wants to come through with this reading is about releasing that belief, releasing sort of that like label of, oh, that's me, I'll be the one to take it up the A, it's almost like after a period of time, we believe ourselves to sort of play this role with life, right? That there's life as the victim, as the villain, and us as the life as the villain, us as the victim. We're just making sure my shirt's clipped. It is sort of. And we create that dynamic though. So when we say or believe for a long period of time that life is the villain and we're the victim, then effectively that's what is continually affirmed. And life continues to shit on us and things don't work out and the other shoe drops and so on and so forth. So what wants to come through is more spaciousness for yourself, more compassion for yourself. Help break up some of these old threads and old sort of solid tetherings to these beliefs or these labels that either things are harder or worse for you, or things are just hard in general, or that life is always giving you a beating, or whatever it is, right? Recognize, bringing some consciousness and some space and some compassion to that, because first of all, you could use some compassion with yourself, especially if nobody else has given it to you. Give yourself some compassion, but it's also going to help start softening a lot of this. And then also there was the piece of, once you are no longer identifying with a lot of these labels and terms or whatever, this sensitivity is going to be used for good, right? This is actually something that's meant to bring you healing, health, wholeness, likely even prosperity, so on and so forth. This is meant to be a gift, not as much of a challenge as it has become for you. It has become a significant challenge for you because of the way that your mind has attached a label to it, right? So you're a sensitive being, so you feel everything deeply, and then your mind has decided to assign it this meaning of, oh, life is harder for me, or I'm always kicked while I'm down, when really you're just someone who feels really well. You feel a lot. So how about that's your gift as opposed to your challenge? Let's see what else is here. Yeah. So what do we have? The start of something new, and it's time to breathe out. So I even have that, there's a blue hue here to some of this too, bringing in some coolness, calmness, collectedness, more of that cool, maybe even we could say icy energy, as opposed to, sort of all of that maybe emotional consumption or wallowing, because something new wants to come through, a new chapter, a new beginning, where you are taking more authority or control over your life, so to speak, where you are making the move or doing the thing or following through on the thing, because a part of you just wants to feel empowered. A part of you just wants to feel purposeful. A part of you just wants to believe that you are capable of something. A part of you just wants to feel confident. How do we feel confident? How do we feel capable? How do we feel empowered? It's when we trust ourselves to follow through on something. It's when we say what we mean and mean what we say. It's when we say, I'm going to do blank tomorrow, and we do. Right? And a lot of times that kind of empowered action taking is lost when you find yourself in a space like this, right? When we're in a space like this, more often than not, we'll find someone who's like wallowing and Netflixing, losing themselves to a bowl of ice cream. And like, we've all done this, right? This isn't just this pile. This is like, we all do these things. But we find ourselves wallowing. We find ourselves consuming, we find ourselves numbing and self-medicating and all that stuff. We find ourselves complaining and all that. And what really wants to come through here is empowerment. But I'm also feeling the energy of compassion, of really supporting yourself, to be compassionate with yourself in all those areas that feel tender or sensitive or quote unquote you might consider weak. Doing that inner childhood work, doing that dialoguing with the self or reparenting of the self, providing yourself compassion where maybe there hasn't been before. It's like you instead just occupy, as opposed to occupying the inner child that just complains and sees it all the way that we've already said. You're going to sort of diffuse from that, separate yourself, look at the inner child, and now you become the parent, right, from a space of empowerment, offering compassion to the part of you that feels the way that it does. That way you can start a new chapter that is a little bit more thrilling, exciting, something that makes you feel alive, inspired, excited. I think part of you just wants to feel alive again. Let's see what else we have here. So the gifts and challenges, your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. Yeah, so remembering, there's something here about remembering this as your gift, this as your path. Again, your sensitivity is meant to support you. It is meant to act as a gift. It's a genius, it's a talent, it's a skill set, way more than it is a detriment or a burden or your cross to bear. So I think you learning how to distinguish this for yourself and recognize it and even reframe and re-dialogue with yourself when things come up. If you find yourself in that old commentary like we talked about earlier, getting yourself into a space where you're like, wait a second, no, my sensitivity is my gift. Like, this is my talent, this is my genius. Of course, you're going to have to offer yourself some compassion first, allow any emotions that are there to pass. And then once you're feeling in more of a space of stability within yourself, then realizing, oh my gosh, like this is a gift. Like there's nothing wrong with having a broken heart. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad or taking this to the heart or whatever, taking this personally, whatever. It's like, this is my gift. Like, this is my sensitivity. How do I want to use this gift in this particular situation? How do I want to use my sensitivity as my genius in this particular situation or in life in general? But allowing it to be your point of alchemy and transformation and evolution, to be used as a gift as opposed to a detriment or a burden. Yeah, again, you're meant to be liberated from this space again that feels more downtrodden or sullen or problematic or upsetting or whatever. Like, you're not meant to live here. Like, something might have happened or a series of things might have happened that led you here and brought you to this place of feeling low or downtrodden or in the pits or whatever. But it's like, you weren't meant to stay here and you weren't meant to remain here. Remember, your sensitivity is what got you here. You felt it so intensely, but it doesn't mean it has to be your cross to bear. You don't have to carry this for a lifetime. At any point in time, you can liberate and free yourself. You can drop that cross. And part of it, again, is in recognizing that this all came about because you feel so deeply. And so you might have felt it harder than somebody else, or you might have let it stick around for longer than it had to. But it doesn't mean that you're bad or that something's wrong or that life is against you. It just means you are a feeler and you are sensitive, but this can be used for good. Again, you can be liberated from this, but it is going to require some effort on your part, some practice on your part. And we already talked about a lot of those tools. It's going to have to I feel like there's an element of desire here too, really looking at your desires and your passions, your purpose, how you can apply your focus and your attention to that more so than your feelings of feeling downtrodden or victimized or whatever. The more you can orient yourself toward what you actually want and love and what you're passionate about, not what you worry about or what upsets you or what disappointed you, or things from the past that you punish yourself for or punish somebody else for, whatever. Right? The more you can give yourself over to your desires, your passion, your purpose, that's going to be supportive as well. We talked about a compassion practice. And what else did we talk about? Yeah, using it for good, recognizing how can I use this sensitivity right now from a place of empowerment as opposed to disempowerment. So really, above all, your challenge, card pile 2, as a highly sensitive person is being in a space of disempowerment because of your intense sensitivity or ability to feel or sense, and you're meant to shift from a space of disempowerment to empowerment, because empowerment was the gift all along, right? You were meant to be empowered by your gift, not the other way around. So card pile 2, do let me know how this lands, how this resonates. I'd love to hear from you and hear your thoughts and feedback. Do like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. Of course, check out my new YouTube channel, Psychic True Crime. If that resonates for you, it'll be fun to have you in both places. And if you want to get to know more about me and my work, you can check out my details below or at erritygreen.com, where I offer personal readings for both life and business. Thank you, Card Pile 2. Okay, Card Pile 3. Your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. Okay, so I feel like you are an old soul, sort of ancient being, ancient wisdom kind of person. I feel like you carry a lot of wisdom within you. I'm getting that energy of just someone who walks with wisdom, like the wise woman or wise man, the medicine woman, the medicine man. Like, you have a lot to share. You have a lot to contribute. You have a lot to say. You might even consider yourself some kind of spiritual leader, a spiritual teacher. You play some kind of role where you're able to contribute in that way. You might consider yourself a healer. But in one way or another, you're bringing forth your wisdom here on this planet, and you are supporting people. I don't know if that's just within your circle or if it's within a professional role or context, but you are someone who is gifted in the intuitive and spiritual realm. So I feel like that's where we're headed, at least for you in Card Pile 3, when it comes to your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person, that your sensitivity is very much about deep wisdom and ancient knowing, and like it's a spiritual gift, an awareness gift, a gift of awareness, a gift of knowledge, just of having lived for eons, and I don't know if you actually lived for eons, but it's like you carry that wisdom within you regardless. And I feel like you're coming here sort of into this dimension or in this lifetime or whatever at this time, and you're really bringing a lot of gifts with you. You have a lot to share, a lot to teach, a lot to do, a lot to embody. So it was interesting because the first couple of card piles were all about emotions and deep feeling. And I feel like for Card Pile 3, yours is much more about intuitive and spiritual gifts and abilities. And that's really where your highly sensitive nature lands, because I actually feel like someone, in Card Pile 3, you're well integrated at this point, to where there isn't one particular part of you that takes center stage without the other parts also being there. So it's not like you get too emotional or you default to your feminine for so long that you don't also return to your masculine as well. You're using all parts of you, all dimensions, all facets. You're bringing all parts of yourself to the table. There's a full expression happening here. Whereas someone who might be highly sensitive and be in a space of, because they're so sensitive, always feeling very emotional and sort of lost in those emotions and consumed by or wallowing in those emotions because they haven't fully actualized that masculine side. And right, these are terms and labels we use to understand ourselves and each other. These aren't actual realities. There's not an actual masculine energy and an actual feminine energy, unless we say that like hormones would be a manifestation of that. So these are just constructs for us to use to have this conversation and to understand these different parts of ourselves. I always like to make that disclaimer. Just like blocks aren't real, right? Blocks only exist to the extent that we feed them. I just think it's important to be very clear when we're talking about these things. But what I'm trying to say about you, Card Pile 3, is that you're so well integrated, right? So your emotional realm and spiritual, intuitive, subconscious realm is equal to your mental realm, your execution realm, where you're planning things out and thinking things out and executing them. And there's enough structure and order and discipline to actually bring it all to fruition, and then you're connected to your physical realm too, where you're attending to your body and your home and your physical environment and making sure that you have proper energetic hygiene. Now, when I'm saying these things and you're like, then that might be the message of your challenge, is making sure that all parts of you are attended to, and that if you're just focusing on your upper chakras and not your lower, then maybe it's time to give some attention to your lower, or vice versa. Tends to be, though, that those who are more operating at the sort of base level of human existence are in their lower chakras, kind of like self-gratification, immediate gratification, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so much more, but that's what's coming up in this reading. Then as you kind of get to the upper chakras, it's going to be a lot of avoidance and overthinking and hypervigilance, right? So I'm just talking about how imbalance in our chakras can manifest in certain ways. And so for you, if you're finding that you're in either one of those areas, that would be your call to then okay, do I need to work more with my root chakra and bring some of that in here? Like if you're always overthinking and hypervigilant, you know, it's time to like get grounded and do some yoga and get out in nature and be barefoot on the ground, right? Get away from the city and into the woods. So you take that how you want, but I feel like you're here with purpose. You're here with wisdom, and you're here to share, and you're here to support people. Whether or not you're in a helping role in a profession right now, I feel like that could be something that's relevant for you. If you haven't done that already, it is a possibility. It is a potential. It is likely something that you're meant to complete or accomplish at some point in your life. If not now, then later. It is a possibility, but one way or another, you're already actively playing this role. It was something that you were born into, that's a part of you that you can't like undo or make happen. It's already a part of you. So you are this sort of wisdom teacher, this deep soul from the get-go, already as you are. So let's see what else is coming through here. Your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. So we're going back to how, this is going back to your purpose again, your path, how you're meant to support and help people. This is interesting because it's dramatically different from cards pile 1 and 2. And I actually did another reading that I lost. I'm just so sad for this topic because it was so good, very different from this one. But there's nothing I can do. It's gone. One of the piles talked about like food additives and how it was really causing issue with that particular pile's sensitivity. And I mean, it just got so deep and it was so good, but I wasn't able to retrieve it. All of that said, I feel like you're meant to act as a guide. And I know we already said this, but as a mentor in some way, you're meant to support people to understand the human condition at a deeper level, to really understand what they're here for and why they're here, why things happen the way that they do. You help bring people a sense of understanding and knowing and purpose, meaning things don't feel as sort of random and chaotic when you're able to support them to see how things are intended to be here, right? So it's like, as an example, if they recognize, oh, I'm here to learn and grow spiritually, and that we're in a 3D realm so that we can experience both light and shadow, night and day, man and woman, so on and so forth. So it's by nature, or it's the nature of the beast for me to face challenges and struggle and challenge, struggle, difficulty, strife, stress, because I'm meant to grow and learn and actualize from that. Okay, so it helps people make sense of their experience. It helps them make it feel not so random and difficult and heartless. You bring reason and purpose and even order to their lives, to their awareness. I feel like you help people, you help them gain and actualize a greater sense of trust, of faith, sort of those spiritual principles that are part of our experience, even helping them understand that life is a great paradox. One truth might be true, but there's another truth that's equally true, and it could be the opposite, right? That's the whole point of the paradox, and that there's endless paradoxes, and none of it makes sense, and all of it makes sense, right? Nothing is true and everything is true. But I just feel like you act like this guide to really guide people on their life's journey and see it as a spiritual journey of health, healing, evolution, growth. And health seems relevant here too. And I feel like there's something here about really helping people to be whole and healthy, helping people to learn more about themselves, express and actualize more parts of themselves, bring about greater well-being, actualization. You might even support people with self-actualization, but you're just a guide that walks them through the course of their lives. And it's interesting when I say that, though, because you're very well probably not working with someone from birth to death, but it feels like you help people, again, make sense of their lives. You act as a guide in certain seasons of their lives. And I just knocked one of the card decks over there. And again, you just bring great wisdom. You bring great wisdom that really helps people settle in, to relax and to let go, to let things be and just live this whole thing out, right? That really supports people in really big ways. See if there's anything else that wants to come through here. Your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. Yeah, and as a result, you help people to create great change. It's like personal transformation, inner evolution within themselves that ultimately might become something that's physically manifested in their reality, but first starts as something within themselves. You help people discover and actualize and evolve parts of themselves. And I know this is really focused on others and your service and contribution, and that might be because you sort of graduated from these other more personal-based or self-focused or self-growth lessons. I feel like a lot of what I'm sharing too, as you do your work, you're learning. So it's not that you're enlightened and you're done and now you're helping all these people. It's more like you're actively helping these people, and through their reflection, you're continuing to be able to learn and grow on your own path and expand even more and even add more to your wisdom belt for maybe the next lifetime. Yeah. What do you help people with? Self-examination, reflection, doing that inner work, the self-healing work, shifting some of that inner stuff, the inner world, the inner realm, the subconscious, seeing where they were making rules or assumptions for themselves, or had expectations or judgments or things like that that were getting in the way, things that were ultimately not true. You're able to help people see themselves clearly and honestly, to have the courage to do that, then to make the necessary changes to shift some of those things. Again, you help people not only have these personal transformations, but change their lives, bring them a new chapter, a new dawn, a new birth, a new horizon, something that is more expansive, expanded, likely greater purpose, greater prosperity, all the things that we seek as humans. We're usually seeking something that's ultimately within ourselves that leads to our next level, but we just look at the next level and we want that. We don't realize, well, it's going to be a shift within ourselves. You support people. You might even tell people you're bringing them the next level, but you're supporting them with that inner transformation, that inner alchemy, the inner healing, the inner growth that ultimately leads to that next level. You help them find something and actualize something within themselves that then they're able to harness and use to create a different reality. Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, this is cool. So achievement, you help people achieve something, right? Achieve their goals, their milestones, their dreams, their visions. Again, it's through that inner shifting, though, that inner transformation, the inner evolution, where they're then able to accomplish something outside of themselves. But I feel like what it's actually saying, like, yes, you might help people accomplish and achieve, and like that might even be what they come to you for, or what you market yourself as if you do this professionally. If you don't, please know you can or will become a potential at one point or another, and or you're already doing this just by being you. People probably come to you for advice, for feedback, for help, for support, and then eventually it's something that you could actualize into something larger, whether it be a contribution or business or something service-based role or helping profession. But I feel like people find something new within themselves by being with you or spending time with you. Maybe they find confidence, capability. They believe in themselves. They start to see things, like, to believe in the impossible. They start to see things as possible. Where once they thought something was not possible, now they recognize that it is. You just bring about a greater confidence or faith or trust that, if not a number of other things, that supports them to ultimately achieve or accomplish whatever their aims were. But what it does, though, is help them see that it was always them in the first place. Like, you empower them. Like, you might be showing them in the beginning, but ultimately what happens through their particular process or journey with you is that they take back the reins and realize it was always them, that they could always do it themselves, that it was always their choice. I remember one time I worked with someone, because I act as a coach and mentor in my professional work, and it was one of the greatest compliments or feedback or testimonials I'd ever received, because she said, you showed me that I don't need any more mentors. I mean, she might probably still have mentors and do that because she wants to, right? But what she was saying to me was, I've realized that I no longer need a mentor, that it's ultimately all me. Like, I feel so empowered that I don't need that. I'm just going to shift my seat because this is a long reading today, so excuse my discomfort. But they discover the power within themselves. You bring them to a place of personal empowerment, where they recognize they've always had the key. That's really what it is. It's like you show them the key and you show them the key and you show them the key, and ultimately they take it in their hands and they're like, oh, it's me and I have the key, right? I am the key. And so that's what you're helping people with. Is there anything else? I feel like of all of this, and I think where this is bringing us, is that you bring them to a place of emotional fulfillment or emotional nourishment. It feels like emotional fulfillment, whereas I feel like that's actually what we all seek as humans, is emotional fulfillment. And we all go seeking for it in relationships and connection and careers and promotions and recognition and fame. And we have all these ways that we go out there seeking it. But all we've ever wanted really is emotional fulfillment. And I think even being seen and heard are two of the players to emotional fulfillment, meaning it really just, again, comes down to emotional fulfillment. And I feel like that's what you bring people. You help them discover emotional fulfillment but it feels like through a season or over a course of their lives, through a learning period, a journey, a pilgrimage of discovering through themselves, of their own growth, healing, and evolution, or even liberation. Again, when they take back the key, they recognize they are the key, and they discover emotional fulfillment. It's like they discover that not only was that the thing all along, but now they know how to get there, and they find it in the moment as it is, right? They can even find it in the present moment, because again, they are the key. They don't rely on anything outside of them to bring about this emotional fulfillment. But it does take some journeying, inner and outer, to discover all of this. But this is the work that you do. Whether or not you realize that, card pile 3, because this went deep and it was very much focused on purpose, contribution, purpose path, purpose work, soul work, how you show up in the world, what you bring forward. I don't know at all that I suspected or expected this kind of reading. So for card pile 3, if this lands and resonates for you, I would love to hear from you and hear your feedback in the comments, because it surprised me. So your gift as a highly sensitive person is coming in here as a spiritual guide, a wisdom teacher, to support people to discover that own spirit and wisdom within themselves, so they too become that wise man, wise woman, wisdom teacher, spiritual guide. Whether they do it for themselves or for others, ultimately they can grow into playing the role that you play, but you're helping them, you're just a reflection for them to see what's already within them. So beautiful work, card pile 3. If this resonates for you, I encourage you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up. I do want to let you know I have a new YouTube channel called Psychic True Crime. So if something like that tickles your fancy, I encourage you to check it out and subscribe over there. And of course, if you want to get to know more about me and my work, how I can support you, you can check out those details below, or at erritygreen.com, where I offer both personal readings on life and business and coaching programs and more. All right. Thank you, card pile 3. All right, card pile 4. It's been quite the read today, so I am a little low on energy, but I think we can finish out on a high note here. So these are your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person. Let's see what wants to come through here. So the very first thing I'm going to get is that I feel like you are of the energy of someone who, I'm getting kind of Aries energy, Mars-like energy, fire energy. So you might be a fire sign, or you might be someone who has a lot of fire in your chart. I'm not 100% on astrology, but I do sense that here, and I feel that. So even if you don't have those things, you might have a lot of fire or zest or passion. And I feel like you might consider yourself sensitive in that way. But let me see. I want to see what else wants to come through here. So I have a complete picture. 1 second here. So interestingly enough, each of the other card piles is sort of focused on a different facet. It's actually been dramatically different than what I expected. I had done a part 1, or like a totally different reading really, and it deleted. It just disappeared. I could not find it. But it's totally different from this reading, so it's just like, what? But this is the re-recording. We have to trust what's meant to be is meant to be. One way or another, I feel like you've been through an upheaval, or maybe a challenging situation, or a trial by fire kind of situation where it feels like no matter what you do, nothing works out, or everything's been chaos or turmoil. You might consider yourself having been through a dark night of the soul, or it feels like a tower moment where things have crumbled and things have been taken away. I just feel like a life is sort of in disorder, a life in chaos, and maybe even some anger or upset, or even denial or fighting and rebellion over that. I don't yet know how this connects to your gifts and challenges as a highly sensitive person, but I feel like maybe that's what you're meant to uncover on this journey. I feel like you went through some kind of shift or transformation in your life that was meant to help you see yourself better, so you can make better choices for yourself, for what you truly, ultimately, deeply wanted, what you wanted the most. Because I feel like there was a long period of time where you were making choices based on maybe your ego or egoic conditioning, maybe making choices that were sort of based on temporary ones or short-term gratification. But I feel like there's some of it was maybe self-destructive, or just not truly honoring of what you wanted big vision-wise, or long-standing purpose-wise, or soul-wise. And so a lot of the shifts and the turmoil and the upheaval that has occurred over the past several years of your life, feels like several years for most of you. It could, of course, be different and manifest in different ways, but it feels like it was all to help you kind of look at this and shift this. So, you might feel like you've been targeted, or things have gone awry, or just things aren't working out, but really life is supporting you or trying to support you to see clearly or have greater discernment so that you can make choices that to align with what you truly deeply want. Because it feels like you might tell yourself that you do what you want, and I get kind of that Mars energy again, or the Aries energy. If I do what I want and I do when I want to, and I don't listen to anybody, and I'm a rebel. But it's like, well, yeah, but are you using that in service to your self-destruction or to your higher power, or to meaning like your higher potential, what you're capable of? Like, are you using that sort of resistance, rebel, passionate, zesty, fighty, warrior kind of energy, Aries kind of energy toward the right cause, toward the right purpose? Because if you aim it at yourself, you know, you more or less lead to self-destruction. If you just numb it or try to silence it with substances and things like that, or even TV or whatever, that leaves a stagnation and hopelessness, powerlessness, and all that. So it's like, you know, the only way to really healthily use that energy is toward the things that you really want long-standing, you know, these sustainable long-term kinds of vision outcomes. Maybe for a long time, again, you went for the temporary high or the temporary want or the conditioned desire, but what wants to come through for you as a highly sensitive person, not at all what I would have expected. So do let me know if this lands for you. I want to hear from my card pile 4s how this is going for you, and if you would have ever expected this from this reading. But I guess just what wants to come through, it comes through when it needs to, right? Where it's like this, for a long period you were making choices aligned with maybe short-term gratification or your egoic desires and like temporary highs or temporary wants or thrills, but ultimately that's not what you want for yourself. You know, when you're truly honest with yourself, you do have bigger dreams, you do have bigger visions, you do want more for yourself. I feel like you have values that differ from the kinds of choices that you've made over the course of a long time, maybe your entire lifetime. So the shift is happening to support you to step into greater alignment so you can make the choices that honor you and your actual desires. You don't have to keep on living the same old train wreck or dumpster fire or whatever it is you consider it. It's all been up to you. You get to decide to turn this thing around. You know, it doesn't have to look the way that it has looked. It's always been up to you. It will continue to be up to you. And life is helping you see that. And even though it's looked like disorder and chaos and that everything is just a cluster F, it's actually been helping you see what's possible, what's available for you, what you can have instead. Life wants you to honor life. Life wants you to honor yourself. Life wants you to honor your bigger dreams and visions and your soul purpose and what it is that gratifies your soul. And you're being supported to see that very clearly. But here's the thing. When we have a magnifying glass on the things, on anything, but let's just say on things that we want, at first it's just a magnifying glass and it's showing us very clearly what's there. But if you keep that magnifying glass on that, it starts to burn. And kind of the analogy that's coming through with that for you is that things are starting to burn down now because the magnifying glass has been set there for so dang long because you haven't done what you needed to do. And even saying that isn't quite right because there's a judgment there and I feel contracted. I know that's not what wants to come through for spirit perfectly. More so they're saying everything is being burned down to show you exactly, pinpoint exactly what it is that you want, but that you've been denying of yourself. Some of this has been self-sabotage. Some of this has been very self-destructive because again, you're making choices aligned with untruths, even lies that you're telling yourself. Maybe you haven't always been honest with yourself or even known what you want, but whatever has been burned down in your life is pointing you exactly where you want to go. So let me give you an example. I talk about my book, Ready, Set, Worthy, a book of rituals to own your work, wealth in the world. I never even can say my own freaking book name. It is linked below. But I talk about, you know, our pain is like the bleeding arrow that points to our North Star, because anytime we're in pain, that's showing us what matters to us. And so ironically and paradoxically, even though we feel pain, it's showing us what we actually care about. And so all these things that got burned down that you might be upset about, see how it's actually pointing you toward what you value, what you want, and how you can begin to move in the direction of those things. Yeah, so the end of the tough cycle approaches, but it's going to be up to you. It feels like there's an energy in the air of all this shit can be cleared out and all this old stuff can go away. There is an opportunity right now. You are ripe for change. Life is ripe for change and transformation. It's like divine energy is coming through, but you're going to have to be the one to like say the word, to let go, to do the thing. It can't be done for you. So I'm sorry about the interruption. We had a surprise guest at our house, which is pretty darn rare because we live on a farm. But anyway, there's this time, this opportunity that's ripe for change. This healing wants to happen, and it wants to happen now, so you can finally move forward and really move into a lighter energy, a lighter life, just what it is that you truly want, that's in greater alignment with what you want. But, well, and the message is then to start taking action and moving toward what you want to move toward. Because this shift, this chaos, these things that have happened have pointed you right in the direction of what you really want. So now it's a matter of just putting one foot in front of the other toward what it is that you want. You know, not letting the old sort of talk or dialogue or inner commentary carry too much weight or throw you off course. You'll probably hear my dog kind of pitter-pattering around. He's a little riled up after that visit, unexpected visit. But, you know, this does require practical action. Like, you are going to have to move. You are going to have to probably do things that are out of your comfort zone. You know, it is going to require some shifts and some changes and some practical action taking on your part in order to actually see all of this change through, right? And it's interesting, again, that this came through with the highly sensitive person reading, because I'm like, you know, what is it trying to say about you being highly sensitive? But maybe it's just a message that needed to come through right now regardless. So let's move on to what the final card is here. Yeah, again, like getting clear on what it is that you want. So that's the first step. So if you aren't already clear on that, or you've been denying yourself of the truth of that, you haven't been facing yourself transparently, you don't know exactly what it is that you want, you've maybe found yourself lost or confused or unsure anymore because it has been so long, you've been on a path like numbing or whatever for so long, you can kind of lose that certainty. Then getting clear on what those things are. What was it about the turmoil or the chaos or whatever changed in your life or the tower moment that hurt the most? You know, what was it that was taken from you or that changed? You know, who left your life, who entered your life? It's going to help you looking at that, again, with that like magnifying glass. All the things that were burned away are pointing you toward the things that you actually value and care about. So then, now that you have a list of the things that you actually value and care about, now you're in a position to be able to take relevant action and meaningful action toward those things. Again, it's going to require some courage. It's going to require some likely discomfort because you're having to leave your comfort zone, but it's all toward the highest good, and it's toward what it is that you want the most. Because ultimately, like, look at these cards. I want to show you. Look at these cards of a free bird flying and all the peace with all this beautiful energy that wants to come through for you now. Look at that. Peace and liberation and love. That's what wants to come through for you now. And you're being told that you deserve this. This is all you've ever wanted, but you haven't maybe allowed yourself to have it. You've denied yourself of it. You know, maybe thought you weren't good enough. We're self-destructive, you know, self-sabotage, things like that. Part of this process is getting to know these parts of yourself, these different motives and drives, so you can understand when they show up. And sometimes you can always give them space to air what they need to air, but it doesn't mean you always follow through on what they have to say. You know, the inner child can tantrum. It doesn't mean we always do what it says, but we can always show it love. And so I think, you know, for you, it talks about your gifts and your challenges. It's not telling us even specifically. I could even ask, you know, what's the gift here? I know what the challenge is. The challenge is, I feel like the challenge is, it's like you felt this so deeply, whatever this was, that I feel like you gave up or you resigned or you kind of ended in the position that you are now, and maybe you don't know how to find your way back. So like that's kind of what it feels like. And so this is the guidance as to how to find your way back. But there is a new horizon, a new dawn waiting for you. But again, you have to find that clarity by taking a look at what's been taken or shifted or changed, where that turmoil came through. I'm going to finish up this reading because I continue to get nonstop interruptions as a result of that neighbor visit. They're looking for a phone. I can't help them. I don't know where it is. But anyway, you have an opportunity now to heal once and for all, to liberate yourself from this and to use it for your and toward your highest good. So card pile 4, that's your reading. If this resonates, do share comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this reading, like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. I do have a new YouTube channel out. You can check out that below or type it in YouTube. It's Psychic True Crime. And so if that kind of thing tickles your fancy, I encourage you to check it out. If you want to get to know more about me, you can find out more about me below or at erritygreen.com, where I offer both personal readings and coaching programs to support you in life and business. So with that, I will leave you be, and thank you so very much, card pile 4. Until next time.